Hello, Ruggero. Thank you very much for being here and for your excellent conference before and for attending our questions and so for taking this short interview now. I would like to start asking you about your first steps as a scholar. So you graduated in Arts and Philosophy in 1987 with a thesis on the beginnings and endings of film texts, which was tutored by Francesco Cassetti. So I'm interested, you consider Francesco Cassetti as your mentor. I would like to know in which ways did his work influence your approach to cinema and media?
Yes, thank you. Actually, Francesco Cassetti is my mentor since he introduced me to semiotics studies. Francesco comes from film semiotics with Gianfranco Bettettini, and he was very close also to Christian Metz, as well as to the other French film semioticians, as Jost, Aumont, etc. He, as I said, he introduced me to film semiotics, but at the same time, he taught me to free myself from the cage of semiotics with the aim to use semiotics to build a dialogue with other disciplines, with other fields. In his case, it meant a dialogue with the cultural studies, and so that Francesco, with his book, The Eye of the Century, became a dialogue with cultural studies in the field of media and studies, film and media studies. While for me, well, I consider it more useful. Well, yes, dialoguing with socio-semiotics. My first theoretical book was about a socio-semiotic analysis of film. But more and more, starting from the tense. Yes, more and more I consider the interesting dialoguing with other emerging field of studies, and in particular neuroscience. In the second step of my career, I decided to apply to semiotic film studies some tools, some hints coming from cognitive neurosciences. I think it is extremely there is a continuity between semiotics and cognitive neurosciences. In particular, if we consider the interpretative or hermeneutic semiotics from Umberto Eco. Umberto Eco tried to build a model of the interpretation of texts, and I think that today a model of interpretation of texts necessarily means a model not just of cognitive interpretation, but of more complete experience of a text, an experience involving not just cognition, but also emotion, and also action, and also movement, and also sensory motor competencies. From this point of view, so I opened the dialogue with the philosophy of mind and also with neuroscientists I also recently made many experiments with them. I have to say that in Italy we have another great, very great school in this field, that is the University of Parma with Michele Guerra and Vittorio Gallese. Michele is a film scholar, while Vittorio is a bio-neuroscientist. And together with my pupil Adriano Daloia, we tried to build a model of neurofilmology. The name is also an homage to the filmology of the 50s, which is the first try to build a dialogue between hard sciences and aesthetics of media. In the last phase, in the last step of my career, finally, I tried to open another side of dialogue with the political economy. I noticed that we have today many interest studies on the political economy of media, but I think we lack studies on the political economy of image, of the visual. So I'm trying to link the visual studies, the media and visual studies, with a political economical approach, considering images as complex economical and political objects and dispositives for managing light, displaying images and informational resources.
In fact, this is the topic of your last book, Capitale algortmico, Cinque dispositivi postmediale P1, in which you explore 6 postmedial dispositives, which are smart glasses, the camere a campo di luce, which I couldn't find a translation
light
into
field. Light field cameras.
Light field cameras, night vision devices, augmented reality, neural networks, and electronic digital microphotography. Why did you choose these devices, and how would you define algorithmic capital? Could you explain a bit what is the main topic of your book, and why did you choose to focus on algorithmic capital and on these postmedial devices?
Yes, thank you. I don't know exactly why I chose them. It was a bit instinctive, but I realized that I tried to split initially. I tried to split dispositives for capturing images and dispositives that display images. So many of them, like for instance the plenoptic cameras or the light field cameras or the night vision device, aims to capture, to extract the images from the world, while many others are aimed to display images like virtual reality. During this experience, I noticed two things. First, the core phenomena happened not at the moment of capture, of ingestion, neither at the moment of display, but in the middle, in the moment of data analysis, data translation, and data extraction, and so on. For instance, in the case of face recognition, the problem is not the image or the final image. The problem is how an original image, once translated into a data set, a data cube, can be matched with other data sets, data cubes, and data store, big data store of images, yes, original images, but now they became, have already become just data. So these aspects led me to consider that contemporary images are essentially algorithms, are essentially algorithmic images, and in turn, starting from this intuition, I understood two other points. First, there is a story of these phenomena, and I tried to reconstruct the story. In my opinion, a first step of the story happens in the first half of 19th century, when light becomes part of the electromagnetic spectrum. By this way, what is changing is the relationship between light and images, because images are just revealed by light, but are generated by it. In the idea of Wilhelm Flusser techno-images, light is not just something to add to a pre-existing image to reveal it, but light put image into existence. And this is a first step, so the economy of image and the economy of light are essentially entangled, are essentially blended each other. The second step comes out when images are, so pattern of photons are not just translated into a film or into an electronic form, but is datafied, as I said. In this case, three economies are entangled: the economy of images, the economy of light, and the economy of data. And this new economy of light, which is in fact an economy of light, of images and of data, is deeply shaping all others, the contemporary economies, and hence my second intuition. In the contemporary image happens something completely new, that is completely new in confrontation with the technical image, the electronic image. I mean, sensors are not just operating at the moment of capturing of the world. They are also operating at the moment of displaying of the image. Think, for instance, of the virtual reality. But this principle is not just proper of virtual reality, but many dispositives, many devices are today operating. Think, for instance, of our smartphones, smart cars, smart toys. They are operating, overlapping the capturing moment, the ingesting moment, and the moment of vision, of consumption of the image. By this way, we have a new kind of phenomenon. Any moment of our social life becomes a moment of vision and of captation at the same time. And I think it is very important because it means that the new logic, the new political, economical logic of images has become the principle informing and shaping the contemporary economical system. So in conclusion, I think that the so-called surveillance capitalism, platform capitalism, digital capitalism, algorithmic capitalism, post-capitalism and so on, is deeply indebted with the logic of images construction and consumption.
Okay. So thank you very much. And a last question about your role or your condition of an Italian researcher in Europe. We were talking with Carlos about this before, about the fact that you have developed a career in Italy, although you have been a visiting researcher in France and Germany as well. But I would like to ask you about the fact that many researchers from non-English speaking countries have started to publish their research in their own languages, but then at some point, maybe in the last 15 years, have moved to English in order to reach a bigger audience and also to reach the academic requirements of the academic system worldwide. I would like to know a bit about your experience in this particular regard.
Yes, thank you.
It's about it's about what is the scope of your research? So if your research has like a national scope or an European scope, or at the moment, the interrelationship between your research as something with which you want to contribute to your community, maybe with your language, or you want to discuss with people all over the world. Is it possible to do it to do both things at the same time? Is difficult because of language and?
Yes. Well, yes. I think both is possible. It depends. Well, I think today we have in the field of film and media studies and of communication studies, we have a sort of koine, of European koine, characterized by shared by a common way of thinking the academical research. Well, I think that what is typical of Europe from this point of view is a trend against academical marketing. And I think this is a risk, because to launch a keyword after another keyword, repeating the same things, or just to launch very weak ideas or not so new ideas, well, it is a risk. Yeah, it is a risk. But a risk we have to know and we have to avoid. From this point of view, I think that a researcher has to dialogue with his community, his national community, a community that can be interested in certain topics. For instance, my research on Italian cinema are just partially spreadable, I think, while in other cases I try to commit. For instance, we published our book on neurofilmology in English. We are publishing all the articles about. I'm presently studying from the point of view of neurofilmology the perception of time. That is how different kind of editing can affect the perception of durations of different kind of actions from a neurophysiological point of view. Quindi, so with a series of empirical experiments, and well, we publish, of course, in English articles. And I think that also the other, the opposite move is interesting. I published a very popular in Italy reader on theories of movies, recent theories of movies. And it was, and I published the book of Jussi Parikka on film archaeology. And these are very useful operations in order to spread the knowledge of new methods, of new approaches, of new theories in Italy, and at the same time to have a stronger relationship with the foreign college. So every way is good in order to improve exchanges. Every way is good in order to improve the dialogue, to improve this particular kind of public conversation, which is luckily today the academical research also in the field of humanities.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruggero. It was a pleasure listening to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you. Thank you so much.